All right, joining us for more on this is SABC News International Editor Sophie Mokeona. Good evening, Sophie. So the much-anticipated sentencing of the president-elect has finally taken place, and it's an unconditional discharge. Just unpack what this all means.
Well, it means he can continue with his work, and this was just a formality to ensure that in terms of record, in terms of the criminal justice system in that country, everything has been done as it should. He is not above the law, even though the sentence doesn't speak to him going to prison. And therefore, he is going to be the president of the United States of America with that dark cloud hovering over his head.
But then beyond that, many may say, even though there is no dark cloud hovering over his head, but he becomes the first president who actually enters office with that conviction.
Yes, indeed. And that is why I'm saying that he is going to that office with that kind of a history or a perspective, and the first in the United States of America. And therefore, it's something that's going to be there when people are writing books or telling stories about the history of the United States of America, that at some point in time, the country dropped the ball to an extent that this is what transpired. This is the kind of person they had in the highest office in the land. And therefore, many people will argue that this is normal, that the United States of America is a mighty nation, the most progressive country, the most powerful country, and that is not immune for making mistakes. It's not true. And therefore, it speaks to the United States of America, like many other countries, has its flaws.
Now, just days before the inauguration, quite a lot has been happening in America. If we look at Joe Biden, there's a proposal right now that Congress will have to either approve on possibly billions being spent in funds or at least in arms for Israel. But beyond this, we also saw what happened with Canada. Justin Trudeau resigning, and of course some attempting to almost associate that with the threats from Trump around tariff hikes, but also threats of turning Canada into the 51st state. Quite a lot happening. Let's talk about some of those developments ahead of that inauguration.
When I spoke to the UN chief, Antonio Guterres, last year in that exclusive interview with the SABC, he was frank. The world is divided. The world is facing a monumental crisis of poor leadership. And that's exactly what's happening. We are seeing the right-wing phenomenon rising, and that everybody is gravitating towards that in terms of countries. And therefore, this is what's happening. And that is why the UN chief was saying this comes at a time even when the UN itself is very weak because of this global poor leadership. Then you have an institution, an organization like the UN, weak as it is, particularly the Security Council. Yes, a lot is happening. A lot is going, many things we are going to witness towards that inauguration. I mean, for example, that Elon Musk has been so influential. We saw the techno hub guys changing tune in terms of how to manage the digital platform, and them throwing out of the window the checks and balances in relation to verifying of information on social media, because they also want to be where Elon Musk is. And if people like those are dropping the ball, what is going to happen with other countries as well? And we saw him also talking about, bullying countries like Canada and Mexico, and that's what's happening right now. And unfortunately, there is poor leadership, weak leadership globally.
Speaking of Elon Musk, there seem to be some commentators that want to brand him as a mini Trump or somebody who as well shoots from the hip. Is this perhaps a sentiment that you have also seen or heard from other commentators when engaging on just the person of Elon Musk?
Well, that's what people are saying. You can see that he has been able to influence Donald Trump. But how long will that take? We don't know. But for now, you cannot undermine Elon Musk in terms of influence in relation to the incoming president of the United States of America. And now he is extending that influence to other countries. For example, partnering with the right-wing organizations in other countries, pushing for regime change in Germany, in France, also in the United Kingdom. And it is becoming a free-for-all around the world.
And the Prime Minister of the UK.
Out the weak leadership.
And some probably saw what was happening with Keir Starmer as him perhaps taunting the Prime Minister, and he went on to even respond to Elon Musk.
Yes, because he's influential. I mean, you look at what he does on social media, one post, it goes viral, and it does influence people. Social media is very, very powerful. It does influence society, it does influence people, and therefore that's what he has been doing. And these leaders now are forced to push back. But it's very difficult. It is very, very difficult. The next coming 4 years, U.S. under Trump and Elon Musk as part of this group of people who are close to Donald Trump is going to be very, very difficult years.
Sophie, thank you very much for that update. That's SABC News international editor Sophie Mokeona talking to us there following that sentencing of Donald Trump. He has avoided jail time or fines. He has been sentenced to an unconditional discharge. But of course, he walks into the office with a conviction.